The tragic fate of Liv Morgan is finally coming to light. The women's world champion is now facing relentless pressure and serious obstacles that could end her reign at the top. Stick around, because what she has to overcome next could change everything about her title run. Here's how you make someone feel completely unsafe in their own home without ever touching them. On May 26, 2025, Sean Chan flew from Scarborough, Ontario to Orlando, telling customs agents in Florida that he would be staying at the WWE Performance Center. That was a lie. He had no business there, no invitation, nothing. He cleared customs on the strength of a fabricated story and stepped off that plane with one thing in mind: Liv Morgan. Chan traveled to Morgan's Florida residence, and surveillance footage detected him searching for a key and trying to enter the home. He remained there for over 2 hours. Morgan was not present and left a handwritten note saying he was paying a friendly visit, along with his contact information. That's not a friendly visit. That's a predator casing out a target. Security footage shows Chan at one point picking up an air rifle pellet gun that was on Morgan's front porch and attempting to open the front door while holding it. Read that again. He found a weapon on the porch and then tried to open the door with it in his hand. Days later, Chan appeared at the WWE Performance Center, where Morgan was present for an NXT taping. Security recognized him, and he was arrested and taken to the Pasco County Detention Center, so Chan was charged. The court ruled that the defendant was found not guilty by reason of insanity on a charge of interstate domestic violence, which carried a sentence of up to 5 years in prison. Not guilty. After all of that, no prison time. Chan was facing up to 5 years in prison on that charge. Instead, the U.S. Marshal Service coordinated with Immigration and Customs Enforcement to have him released into ICE custody, where agents began the process of deporting him back to Canada. Now, the wrestling world had a lot to say about this. The verdict arrived amid a wider conversation about talent safety, which had heightened after many wrestlers were approached by fans in an unwelcome manner. Across a series of incidents observed around WrestleMania in Las Vegas, the conversation around performer safety in WWE didn't start with Liv Morgan. But her case became the loudest example of how broken the system around it can be. Also included in the criminal complaint was a statement from Morgan indicating that this wasn't the first time someone had discovered her address and approached her home. 2 other individuals had previously done the same. 2 other people before Chan. 3 separate incidents of strangers showing up at her home. And we're only hearing about it now because this one made it to federal court. The incident also bore some similarity to the case of Sonya Deville's stalker and shone another light on the hazards of becoming a public figure. For female wrestlers specifically, the line between the character they play on TV and the real woman living behind closed doors gets blurred in the most dangerous ways. Fans, some of them, don't see a performer. They see a relationship. They see something owed to them. And in Chan's case, that delusion ran deeper than most. 2 separate psychologists determined that Chan was unable to appreciate the wrongfulness of his actions due to the severity of his mental disease. During an evaluation while in jail, Chan was diagnosed with delusional disorder and adjustment disorder with depressed and anxious moods. Chan held the delusional belief that Morgan was his girlfriend and that he was traveling and visiting to check on her, he told psychologists. Clinicians specifically noted Chan had not been treated for mental health issues in the past, nor had he seen a doctor in more than 20 years. An evaluation found he was otherwise intelligent, and Chan said, "He has heard the voice of God since his early 20s. The voice tells him what to do, and he has continued to hear it while incarcerated." So this is the reality Liv Morgan had to sit with. Not just the night it happened, not just through the court case, but every day she walked into work. Every day she smiled for the cameras. Every day she played a character designed to entertain millions. The threat was real. The danger was real. And the court just told the world that the man responsible wouldn't face consequences in any conventional sense. While Chan was found not guilty, he remained incarcerated in Hernando County, Florida. He would not be released immediately, as he is a Canadian citizen. But deportation isn't prison. and for someone already proven to operate across international borders to reach her. That's a thin line of protection. This is the world Liv Morgan has had to navigate. And the terrifying thing is, she's been doing it for years, quietly, while performing at the highest level in her industry. To understand what makes the threat against Liv Morgan so striking, you have to understand what it took for her to get where she is in the first place. Because this isn't someone handed a platform. This is someone who scraped her way up, from nothing in the most literal sense of the word. Giona Jene Dadio was born on June 8, 1994, in Morristown, New Jersey, and raised in Elmwood Park, New Jersey through and through. She has 4 older brothers and a younger sister, and following the death of her father, her mother was a single parent raising 6 children. That right there tells you everything about the environment she came up in. No cushion, no safety net. A mother holding together a household of 6 kids on her own. Her upbringing instilled a strong sense of independence. She dropped out of high school at 16 amid family challenges, later earning a GED and working full-time jobs, viewing wrestling as an escape from her self-described dysfunctional household. She dropped out of high school at 16. She earned a GED. She worked full-time jobs before she was old enough to have a career. And in the middle of all of that chaos, her love of WWE consumed her so much that she and her 4 older brothers built a makeshift ring in the backyard of their Elmwood Park, New Jersey home. We dug 4 poles into the ground and put lawn chairs in front of them for buckles. We tied 3 pieces of industrial rope around the corners, and the only mat we had was a stacked-up pile of lawn chair cushions. When we finished, we thought it was the most awesome thing ever. That's her origin story. Not a prestigious training school, not a wealthy family who could fund her dreams. A backyard, rope, lawn chair cushions. She signed with WWE in 2014 after working as a model and server at Hooters, training at the WWE Performance Center, and making her televised in-ring debut on NXT in 2015. In 2014, after being discovered at Joe DeFranco's gym in Wyckoff, New Jersey, Dadio signed a contract with WWE, assigning her to their developmental territory, NXT, in October 2014. Not even discovered at an open tryout. Discovered at a gym. Someone saw something in her and made a call. And she didn't waste it, but the early years were not kind. In October 2015, she transitioned to in-ring competition under the ring name Marley, debuting on television with a loss to Eva Marie. By late November 2015, WWE repackaged her as Liv Morgan, introducing a punk rock-inspired gimmick that drew from her New Jersey upbringing. Rebellious attitude, colorful hair, high-energy style. She lost a lot. The character positioned her as a persistent challenger in the NXT Women's division, emphasizing resilience and proving doubters wrong through gritty performances. Morgan's 2016 matches showcased her growth amid frequent losses to top competitors. And then came the main roster. She was promoted to the main roster in 2017 and was paired with Ruby Riott and Sarah Logan to form the stable The Riott Squad. This gave her visibility. It gave her a role, but it also buried her individuality. She was a supporting character in someone else's faction, and when the group splintered, the question became, who exactly is Liv Morgan on her own? As revealed in the WWE Network documentary Live Forever. It was during this time that she and a number of producers pitched countless ideas for her new character, but Vince McMahon knocked them back every time. Countless ideas knocked back every time. That's not a quiet frustration. That's a career being strangled before it can breathe. She was pitching, creating, trying to carve out something real, and the person at the top of the company kept saying no. For years, she existed in a sort of WWE purgatory. Present enough to be on TV, not prominent enough to matter. She lost a Royal Rumble in 8 seconds at one point. At Royal Rumble. In January 2019, Morgan was the first to be eliminated after lasting 8 seconds. setting the record for the shortest time in the Women's Royal Rumble match. 8 seconds. That's not just a loss, that's a statement from the people, booking your career about where they think you belong. But here's the thing about people who build their own wrestling ring from lawn chair cushions. They don't quit. They don't know how. And the moment the door cracked open even slightly, she kicked it in. In 2022, Morgan won the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match and cashed in the same night, defeating Ronda Rousey to win the SmackDown Women's Championship, the first title in her wrestling career. The first championship of her career, 8 years in the making. After the losses, the repackages, the rejected pitches, the 8-second Royal Rumble elimination, she climbed a ladder, grabbed a briefcase, and cashed it in on the same night to beat one of the most decorated combat sports athletes on the planet. Morgan is already a 2-time Women's World Champion in her career. She has also won the Crown Jewel Championship, Money in the Bank, and is a 4-time Women's Tag Team Champion with Raquel Rodriguez. From a backyard ring made of lawn chairs to a 2-time Women's World Champion, there's a reason her fan base calls themselves Live Nation. And there's a reason. A man flew across an international border thinking he was part of her life. The connection she builds with people is real. The problem is, not everyone understands where that connection ends. The championship in 2022 was the first summit, but it wasn't the peak, not even close. Because the version of Liv Morgan that would eventually storm WrestleMania 42 as a Women's World Champion was born from something far darker, a calculated humiliation, a real injury, and a reinvention that nobody saw coming. Let's go back to 2024, when Rhea Ripley was the most dominant women's wrestler on the planet. Ripley had the Women's World Championship in a stranglehold, and she was the heart of the Judgment Day, the most powerful faction in WWE. Liv Morgan wasn't in that conversation. She was on the fringe, trying to find her footing again after another stretch of mid-card obscurity. Then she won Money in the Bank again, and this time she had a target. Following an injury at the hands of Rhea Ripley, Morgan returned in 2024 to carry out the iconic Liv Morgan Revenge Tour that saw her rule WWE with an iron fist and wicked cackle after injuring Ripley and causing her to vacate the Women's World title. Morgan stole Dirty Dominic Mysterio from Ripley and took the Eradicator's place in the Judgment Day before becoming the inaugural WWE Women's Crown Jewel Champion. Stole Dominic, took her spot in the faction, became the inaugural Crown Jewel Champion, all of it methodically dismantling everything Ripley had built. This wasn't a wrestling feud. It was a demolition job. The character Liv Morgan became in 2024 was unrecognizable from the goofy, colorful underdog of 2017. She had become something cold, calculating, and willing to burn every bridge in her path. In 2024, Morgan made history again by defeating Nia Jax at the inaugural WWE Crown Jewel event to become the first ever Women's Crown Jewel Champion. And inside the Judgment Day, she was no longer a visitor. She was the alpha. Dominic Mysterio, on screen anyway, was in her corner. Raquel Rodriguez was by her side. The faction bent to her energy. But the cruelty of professional wrestling is that the higher you climb, the harder the fall can hurt. And by 2025, the ground was rushing up fast. At the time, Morgan was riding high as part of the Judgment Day faction and was the reigning WWE Women's Tag Team Champion with Raquel Rodriguez. Things were moving in a direction that looked like it could sustain itself for years. The tag titles, the faction, the momentum. A legitimate main event run felt not just possible, it felt inevitable. And then June 16, 2025 happened on the June 16, 2025 taping of WWE Raw. Morgan faced Kairi Sane in a singles match. Seconds into the fight, Sane tripped Morgan, who landed face first on the mat. 5 seconds. That's all it took. Morgan recalled the moment, saying she took a weird fall. As soon as it happened, I knew, just because you can't feel anything, First of all, it's like such an intense pain, then it just goes away. And then you can't feel anything because your shoulder is just not connected. Not connected. That's how she described it. Her shoulder had completely dislocated. Instead of getting back up, she crawled out of the ring, wincing while clutching at her right shoulder. She then sat against the barricade and signaled to the referee that she could not compete after the show. Morgan tried to stay optimistic, but once she saw the MRI results, reality set in. Medical came and tried to pop it back in, and it was kind of just like, I can't continue. I can't do anything else. So I had to throw in the towel, which I hated. The injury meant she had to give up the gold as she required surgery. Everything she'd built with Raquel Rodriguez, the titles, the momentum, gone, handed over, not lost. In a match, just surrendered because her body had no other choice. And while she was on the shelf, the stalker arrived at her front door. That's the timeline that nobody talks about enough. The injury happened in June. Chan flew from Scarborough, Ontario to Orlando in late May 2025. He was already in Florida when she got hurt. The woman who was fighting for her health and her career was simultaneously being hunted by a man who believed she was his girlfriend. The weight of that is almost impossible to process, and she was processing it alone, away from the cameras while the rest of the world moved on. Surgery. 5 months out, a stalker case working its way through the courts. This was the reality of Liv Morgan's 2025. And perhaps the most striking part of the whole story is that almost none of it was visible from the outside. She felt like her career had come to a screeching halt at the worst possible time, missing big events like SummerSlam in her home state and WWE. Evolution made it even more frustrating. SummerSlam in her home state. Think about that. New Jersey, the place she's repped her entire career. The place where she built a wrestling ring in her backyard with her brothers. She was supposed to be on that card, performing in front of the crowd that made her who she is, and instead, she was watching it from home with her arm in a sling. Speaking on the What Do You Want to Talk About podcast with Cody Rhodes, Morgan talked about how tough her 2025 break was and how it made her question her belief that everything happens for a reason. Honestly, the injury was really hard for me. I took it really hard. There's something striking about hearing that from someone whose entire public persona is built around energy and optimism. The grin, the catchphrases, the relentless positivity, all of it is genuinely Liv Morgan, but underneath it, I'm like a very much everything happens for a reason type person. Even if something happens that's terrible, I'm so optimistically delusional that I'm like, no, this happened for my greater good, my injury. I was like, no, this happened just to feck me. That's the language of someone whose coping mechanism had genuinely shattered. The person who believes that everything, even the bad stuff, serves a purpose, looked at this injury and said, no, this one has no purpose. This one is just cruel. I think I tried to be really optimistic until my MRI news. I was like, I think I'm okay, but I had done the same thing 2 years prior. That detail, the same injury 2 years earlier, means this wasn't just a random accident. It was a recurring vulnerability in her body, the same shoulder, the same catastrophic failure. And she knew somewhere in the back of her mind that it wasn't okay. She just didn't want to say it out loud because saying it makes it real. Her absence affected the tag division significantly, with Roxanne Perez stepping in as a substitute partner for Rodriguez. The machine kept moving. WWE kept rolling. The Judgment Day found a replacement. Her spot was filled before the swelling had even gone down. That's the cold calculus of professional wrestling. You're never irreplaceable in the moment, only in hindsight. And then, while she was dealing with all of this, the stalker case was unfolding in the courts. During an evaluation while in jail, Chan was diagnosed with delusional disorder and adjustment disorder, with depressed and anxious moods, he claimed, apparently falsely to have known Morgan in high school. He reported that beginning in adolescence, he developed ideas for characters and storylines that were later adopted by professional wrestlers. He stated that he believed certain wrestlers he encountered online were connected to him through this intellectual property and that he was owed recognition and financial compensation. He reported that he believed a well-known professional wrestler was his significant other. This is the architecture of the delusion. He hadn't just developed a crush on a wrestler. He had built an entire mythology around her, one in which they were connected through intellectual property, through shared history, through a relationship that existed only in his fractured mind. And it was that mythology that carried him across an international border with her address in his pocket. The note left at Morgan's home contained his name, address in Canada, and his phone number, which read in part, "It's me, Sean, the guy you all hang out with on gaming platform deleted online. You've been trying to contact me? Or should I say reach out to me when I'm absent from that game? So who's the stalker, huh? I never said and did anything bad for over 10 years, yet you all dared hating me for no reason." He left that note on her porch while holding an air pellet gun, asking her who the real stalker was. The psychological inversion there is staggering. In his mind, he was the wronged party. She was the one who had been pulling away from him. He was simply coming to resolve a misunderstanding. Two separate psychologists determined Chan was unable to appreciate the wrongfulness of his actions due to the severity of his mental disease. He has been diagnosed with delusional disorder and adjustment disorder with depressed and anxious moods, and yet the legal outcome, not guilty by reason of insanity, lands like a gut punch when you're the person whose home was violated, when you're the person who's been told this wasn't the first time, when you're the person lying in recovery from shoulder surgery, isolated from work, isolated from your fans, with a court case hanging over you that still hasn't resolved. That's what Liv Morgan was carrying in 2025, and somehow she didn't. Let it bury her 5 months. Surgery, a legal ordeal, a missed SummerSlam in her home state, a spot filled by someone else. By the time November 2025 rolled around, some people had quietly started to wonder whether the version of Liv Morgan who'd run roughshod through 2024 was a chapter that had already closed. Survivor Series answered that question in about 30 seconds. Morgan's recovery took 5 months, and she finally returned to action at Survivor Series War Games that November, helping Dominic Mysterio defeat John Cena for the Intercontinental title. John Cena, on his retirement tour, one of the most protected names in the history of the business, and Liv Morgan stepped back through that curtain, 5 months removed from shoulder surgery, and inserted herself directly into the moment that ended his farewell reign as champion. That's not a soft return. That's a statement. She firmly re-established herself as a major player in WWE following that dramatic return. After interfering to help Dominic Mysterio capture the Intercontinental Championship from Cena, Morgan wasted no time inserting herself into the Women's World Championship picture. On the December 1 episode of Monday Night Raw, she confronted reigning champion Stephanie Vaquer backstage, a moment that immediately ignited speculation about a future title showdown. The confrontation was cold, pointed, and exactly what you'd expect from someone who'd spent 5 months fuming on the sideline. She wasn't tiptoeing back in. She walked straight to the top of the mountain and announced herself. At the 2026 Royal Rumble, Morgan won the Women's Royal Rumble match from the 14 spot by last, eliminating Tiffany Stratton. That Rumble win matters more than it looks on paper, The last time she'd entered a Royal Rumble, she lasted 8 seconds and set a record for the fastest elimination in Women's Rumble history. Years later, she was the last woman standing. There's a poetry to that arc that no one in WWE could have scripted as cleanly as it actually happened. Morgan won the 2026 Women's Royal Rumble and had the option to choose between WWE Champion Jade Cargill and Women's World Champion Stephanie Vaquer. When all 3 women were in the ring, Morgan attacked Vaquer. After deciding that La Primera would be her opponent at the Showcase of the Immortals, she chose Vaquer. She went after the Women's World Championship specifically, not because it was the easier road, but because it was the one that meant the most. She recorded the song Trouble, as well as a music video for her WrestleMania 42 entrance. It has since become her main entrance. She walked into WrestleMania 42 to her own music, her own recorded song, not a licensed track, not a WWE assigned theme, something she made. That detail, as small as it might seem on the surface, is the fullest expression of who Liv Morgan is in 2026. She's not just a performer anymore. She's a brand. She's an artist. She's someone who drops out of high school at 16, works at Hooters, builds a wrestling ring from lawn chairs, gets humiliated for years on national television, survives 2 shoulder surgeries, survives a stalker, and still walks into the biggest show in the wrestling calendar to her own self-written music. She is the Women's World Champion after beating Stephanie Vaquer at WrestleMania 42, and now she is set to appear in the movie Bad Lieutenant Tokyo, which she stepped away from the ring to film in 2025. She revealed that she was part of Bad Lieutenant Tokyo alongside Lily James and Shin Oguri, a WWE champion with a major motion picture on the way. The ceiling, if there ever was one, keeps moving upward, but back in the courts, the case that had been quietly churning through the legal system finally landed its verdict just days ago. Sean Chan, the man accused of stalking Liv Morgan, was found not guilty by reason of insanity on a charge of interstate domestic violence. The court session lasted just over 30 minutes. Chan waived his right to a jury trial, allowing Judge Mary S. Scriven to decide his case. 30 minutes for a case that had been building for over a year, involving international travel, a home invasion attempt, a weapon on a front porch, and a forensic psychiatric evaluation. 30 minutes. A U.S. judge in the Middle District of Florida ruled that Sean Chan, who was arrested outside of the WWE Performance Center in June 2025, was found not guilty by reason of insanity and would be released into ICE custody. While he was found not guilty, Chan remained incarcerated in Hernando County, Florida. He would not be released immediately, as he is a Canadian citizen. The deporting process now begins. But for Liv Morgan, there's no clean ending to this chapter. No verdict that undoes the nights she lay awake knowing someone had been at her door. No court ruling that removes the knowledge that this wasn't the first time, that 2 other people had done the same thing before Chan. Liv Morgan says she wants to be remembered as someone who wasn't afraid and gave everything in the ring despite her fears. Despite her fears. Not in the absence of them. She's not saying the fear went away. She's saying she performed through it, competed through it, built a career through it, and refused to let it define the story. Liv Morgan continues to build momentum in the 2026 Queen of the Ring tournament. The Women's World Champion secured her place in the semifinals. Even now, holding the championship, the work doesn't stop. The Queen of the Ring. More defenses ahead. There doesn't seem to be a ceiling for Morgan as she nears 12 full years in WWE. From a makeshift backyard ring in New Jersey, to a federal stalker trial, to a shoulder that dislocated twice, to Survivor Series, the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, and a movie set in Tokyo, to Women's World Champion, to her own entrance music playing in front of 70 people at the biggest show of the year. The tragic fate of Liv Morgan isn't a story with a body count. It's a story of what it actually costs to become someone. What it costs in your body, in your privacy, in your sense of safety, in your mental health. The price of visibility, when some of the people watching don't understand that you're not theirs to reach for. She paid it anyway. She keeps paying it, and right now, she's doing it with a championship belt around her waist and a movie credit on the way. References: Liv Morgan admits she lost faith after lengthy 2025 WWE injury absence. Liv Morgan admits, "I had to throw in the towel." Liv Morgan opens up on 2025 shoulder injury. Major update on Liv Morgan's WWE return journey. Liv Morgan recalls heartbreaking WWE moment. WWE's Liv Morgan reveals surprise impact of injury. Man accused of stalking Liv Morgan learns his fate. Sports Illustrated. Accused stalker of Liv Morgan found not guilty. Fightful. Clarification on status of alleged Liv Morgan stalker. F4W Online. Stalker of WWE's Liv Morgan found not guilty by reason of insanity. WrestleView. Stalker in Liv Morgan case found not guilty by reason of insanity. Post Wrestling. More details on arrest of accused stalker. Wrestling Inc. WWE reportedly has major plans for Liv Morgan. Newsweek. Liv Morgan shares major career announcement. Sportskeeda. WWE star Liv Morgan opens up about her legacy. Fox News. Shocking verdict reached in WWE star Liv Morgan's stalker case. ITR Wrestling. Snapbacks, Jordans, and a dream. Meet NXT's Liv Morgan. WWE.com. Liv Morgan WWE superstar profile. Liv Morgan Wikipedia.